Chapter 5. Never mind. I couldn't wait to tell my parents the brilliant plan. I especially hoped it would make Mom feel better. That not all was lost in my academic career. I was determined to produce the best novel ever written by a 16-year-old. My plans didn't stop with the valedictorian. Oh no! I would publish this book and become a teenage personality. With sales in the millions, interviews, book tours, magazine covers, my own fan club, Wendy Stewpacker would be reduced to a mere gnat in the scheme of things. And John Pepper would have the excuse he needed to ask me out. Every Ivy League college would be asking, no, begging me to grace their campus with my presence. Normally, when Dad came home from work, he'd immediately change into his yellow jogging suit with green stripes for his run. Then he'd clock in his time on the chart stuck to the refrigerator next to my daily schedule. And after school, I'd help Mom in the garden. For someone usually so immaculate, she sure loved mucking around in the dirt and adding decaying vegetables to her compost heap. If it was raining, we'd play Boggle or Scrabble until Dad finished his run. He ran rain or shine. Then Dad and I'd prepare dinner while listening to NPR. But not tonight. Tonight, Mom hermited in her room and Dad slumped at the kitchen table. His normally crisp button-down shirt was rumpled, and a thin line of missed hairs glinted along his left jaw. "Hi, Dad." He jumped. "Vassar!" He stared at me as if our next-door neighbor's basset hound had walked into the kitchen on two legs and addressed him by name. Then he snapped out of it. "How was school?" But before I could answer, "You'll certainly be missed around here this summer. If only your mom and I could have..." He stopped short. "Could have what?" Never mind. You know your dad's just an old softy." He stood up and poured himself a glass of water. I hugged him. "I wouldn't trade you for any other dad in the world." That choked him up. He gave me a tight squeeze back, sloshing water onto the floor. Then, before I could stop myself, I asked, "Dad, what's the big secret?" He froze, then backed away from me, spilling more water down the front of his shirt. He actually looked scared. "Come on, you can tell me. I promise I won't tell Mom." He just stood there, mute, as if not trusting himself to say anything without her there to chaperone. Then he turned and tore precisely one square off the paper towel roll and wiped up the floor. "I'm sorry, Vassar. I can't talk about it." He wouldn't meet my gaze. To prevent any other questions, he quickly removed pre-cut vegetables and meat from the refrigerator and busied himself with dinner. He and Mom always set aside Sunday evenings to plan and prep meals for the week ahead, so each day of the week had its own plastic container. Tuesday's dinner, stir fry. If only people would realize that plan equals freedom. Once you plan, you don't have to waste time every day rethinking the same issues, remaking the same decisions, Dad would say. Often. Forcing a jovial tone, he said, "An exotic meal for you tonight, Vassar. Mushrooms, sprouts, onions, sliced ribeye, over rice, stir fry. This'll help prepare your taste buds for Southeast Asian cuisine." He opened the refrigerator. "Let's see, where's the ketchup?" I knew I wasn't going to get anywhere with him. So while I set the table, I told him the brilliant plan. He was just as impressed as I was. "We can always use another author in the family. Why don't you go on up and tell your mom? She needs to hear this. It'll perk her right up." He looked at his watch. "Dinner will be ready in 8 minutes and 15 seconds. As I headed up the stairs, the phone rang. Dad answered. "Oh, hello, Amber. Late for what?" "Tonight? Unfortunately, Althea will have to reschedule. There will be no hour of reflection in the Spore household tonight." As I entered their bedroom, Mom quickly slipped a book under the mint green duvet. But not before I saw the cover. A buxom maiden kissing a muscular farm lad who seemed to have misplaced his shirt. I sighed. My numerous attempts to steer Mom toward works more literary had failed. There sat Don Quixote, Tristram Shandy, and the portrait of a lady in a patient row, untouched, on her bedroom bookshelf. For a woman who was highbrow in every other area of her life, including a fondness for Puccini, she certainly sank low in the fiction department. Mom looked strangely fragile and vulnerable without makeup, wearing bifocals and a beige cotton nightgown. I'd never noticed the deep lines between her eyes, or how far the corners of her mouth drooped when she was fatigued. Moss green walls combined with the mint duvet created the illusion she was drowning in a vat of split pea soup. She struggled to sit up, adjusting the pillow behind her back. Sorry about last night. It must have been something I ate, but I'm feeling much better now. Since when did beef stroganoff upset anyone's stomach? I noticed a bottle of pills on her nightstand. Great. Grandma Gerd is driving Mom to self-medicate. Up for a rousing game of Boggle? I shook the plastic box of dice enticingly. Come on, you know you are. We have 8 minutes until dinner. And you owe me a chance to even the score. She managed a weak smile. Maybe later. I set the game down on her nightstand. Then, in as peppy a tone as I could muster, I have some news that'll cheer you up. But the brilliant plan didn't seem to make a difference. Her eyes still held an expression of foreboding. The lines were still there. Her mouth still drooped. Apparently, my odds of making or not making valedictorian were secondary to the big secret. She stared at me a moment, then asked, Bassar, are you happy? As soon as she said it, I could tell she wished she hadn't. Happy? What do you mean? Oh, you know, she forced a light tone. Has your life so far been a happy one? I'd never really thought about it. Why wouldn't it be? She considered for a moment, then lightly shook her head. Never mind. Is that stir-fry I smell? Want me to bring you some? No. The very idea seemed to turn her stomach. You eat with Dad. I'll just have toast and broth. Afterward, we can start you on your packing list. After all, it's only 12 more days until... Her voice cracked as she reached for a Kleenex, and I slipped out the door.